A man is dead after a police shooting in West Baltimore. What happened and whose sources tell Fox 45 News the suspect is?
However, to earn the incentive and not just give, that's the difference.
The mayor is expected to announce the city's new plan to deal with squeegee kids this week. It includes paying some of them. The criticism we're hearing for that plan and the work one group is already doing to get squeegee kids out of the streets. City Council is expected to vote on a controversial new bill tomorrow. The criticism it's getting and how it all ties back to term limits.
Live from WBFF in Baltimore, this is Fox 45 News at 10.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Mary Bubala. We begin with breaking news out of West Baltimore. Police say a man is dead after officers shot him. It happened at the intersection of West Lafayette and North Fulton Avenue around 3:30 this afternoon. Police say they responded to a report of a man attacking a woman with a knife on the street.
And he approached the suspect, ordered the suspect to the ground, who then placed himself what appears to be on top of the female while armed with a very large knife. The officer began to discharge his firearm at the suspect.
Assaulting anyone and with having a dangerous weapon, a knife, let alone a woman, is something that we cannot have in our city. We are thankful that further people were not injured, that young woman or any other individuals that were around there. Thankful that none of our police officers were injured and they acted quickly.
Commissioner Harrison says the suspect stumbled off the woman after he was shot. Officers brought him to shock trauma where he died. The commissioner says the department is reviewing footage from multiple body-worn cams. The Maryland Attorney General would take over the investigation. And as the mayor mentioned, no one else was hurt, including the woman involved. Well, multiple sources tell Fox 45 News the suspect police shot is Tyree Moorhead, the Northeast Baltimore man who created no-shoot zones throughout the city. Back in August, he walked home from the hospital after he was shot 3 times in the head and neck. Police have not confirmed the suspect's identity in today's shooting. Well, another big story we're following. Mayor Brandon Scott is set to release a full list of recommendations from his Squeegee collaborative this week. The group has been meeting since July, but has not allowed cameras inside its public meetings. We know those recommendations will likely include squeegee kids coming up with their own code of conduct, a designated enforcement zone, and guaranteed income for squeegee kids who stop. It comes as Fox 45 News continues to hear stories of heated interactions some drivers are having with squeegee kids. Just yesterday, police say they arrested a 19-year-old squeegee kid along Mount Royal Terrace. A woman told police the squeegee kid sprayed her in the face after she refused service. Police say they found the suspect with a loaded handgun. Riel Creighton, she's been speaking with one group working to get some of these squeegee kids out of intersections. She joins us now with a closer look at those efforts. Riel?
And Mary, tonight this group is reacting to the part of the plan that we've heard so far from the Squeegee Collaborative. They say for any plan to work, you have to get at what is driving these kids to go and squeegee. Namely, they say that is poverty, and that is what they say they're taking on right now. The debate over squeegee kids in Baltimore this week intensifying amid details of a forthcoming plan from the Squeegee Collaborative, confirmed to Fox 45.
To give them an incentive.
Marlo Hargrove has already been on the ground.
However, to earn the incentive and not just give, that's the difference.
Executive Director of FACE, the nonprofit working to transition people released from prison back into society, now working to move kids off corners with his own unique program, partnering with Dream Kicks United to offer squeegee kids sneakers.
We're talking Michael Jordan, some of them that basically out there squeegeeing to try to put a pair of those on their feet.
The idea, engage them with shoes that get them to the services that get them off the streets.
They have the sneakers.
Okay.
We have the supportive wraparound services such as the mental health, substance abuse, case management, psychosocial therapy, life skills, job readiness program.
Also incentive-based and the part of a so far incomplete portion of a plan by the Squeegee Collaborative now drawing fire from around the city. Reportedly, one idea focused on a guaranteed income program, pay to be made available to young men who do not engage in the activity. Reaction swift.
We're going to pay them to get off of the corner. But we got people out here working every day, and we get money funded to the city all the time, but this is what we're going to waste it on.
Hargrove says his plan is different.
Not just giving, but guiding them and enhancing them and empowering them. All of these tools that it's going to take for them to stay off them corners.
Law enforcement expert Tyrone Powers believes that's the key.
No one thinks that young people can grow up to be professional squeegee people. There's no job and career in squeegeeing long term.
Wait to condemn it, he says, before you see it.
If somehow they were getting paid and you were linking that to skills like welding, like infrastructure, things that they could use long term.
It isn't for me to discuss and or to say that their plan will work or their plan won't work. However, I know that it's a long overdue for solutions.
Now, Hargrove's biggest critique of the plan is mostly that groups like his, he says, that are affecting change on the streets right now are not at the table and part of this conversation on how to solve the squeegee issue. Reporting live in Baltimore tonight, Riel Creighton, Fox 45 News.
Riel, thank you. Fox 45 News has heard dozens of stories from our viewers about interactions with squeegee kids. We have seen examples of squeegee kids stealing, damaging cars, and assaulting drivers. Now, given the violence we've seen from some of the squeegee kids, one longtime business owner says she doesn't think the ideas coming from the Squeegee Collaborative are fair.
They're going to give guaranteed income to lawlessness, but nothing to the victims. I mean, people's cars have been damaged, people have been physically assaulted, and one innocent man was murdered. It's not right.
Well, Fox 45 News will press Mayor Scott about his squeegee plan in the coming days. We tried to talk to him about it during an event yesterday. A member of his staff told us he has nothing to add before the official announcement this week. We did get the chance to question him on Friday. Take a listen.
Mayor Scott, how do you plan to delineate, I guess, the squeegee kids?
I'm going to delineate by telling you when we put out the strategy, as we just talked about before. You're not going to get a different answer. We have a process. We're sticking to it. Watch your back. Don't walk into the truck.
If you have a process, why was it leaked to WBAL?
See you later.
Well, the mayor leaving the event without giving us many answers. We want to remind you there are laws in place that the city could enforce to get the squeegee kids out of the intersections. One state stepping into a roadway to ask for a ride, business, or employment is illegal. The other bans aggressive soliciting, essentially blocking drivers, using obscene language, and intimidation. Mayor Scott won't enforce those laws, though. Stay with Fox 45 News. We'll continue to press city leaders for answers about the squeegee kid issue in the week ahead. We'll have complete coverage when the Squeegee Collaborative's recommendations are officially announced both on air and online. Meanwhile, we are coming to the end of a particularly violent ceasefire weekend in Baltimore. Since yesterday morning, 13 people have been shot. 4 of those victims died. The victims include a 16-year-old girl shot in Northeast Baltimore today and a 16-year-old boy who was shot in an apparent robbery last night. They both are expected to be okay. Turning now to your Vote 2022 coverage. Election Day is Tuesday. Marylanders have a lot of big decisions to make. In Baltimore City, residents will have the chance to decide if they want term limits for their leaders. Question K would limit city council members, the council president, mayor, and comptroller to 2 4-year terms. It's an idea that's been brought up in Baltimore before. Bills calling for term limits failed in City Hall in 2015 and 2018.
The difference, now is the people have put this on the ballot. And quite frankly, it takes a lot, for far as petitions, and takes a lot to get signatures to make something like this happen. So this time the people have spoken and said, hey, we want term limits, and let's let the people of Baltimore decide.
Well, tomorrow, Baltimore City Council members will vote on a bill it pushed through committee last week in response to Question K. The measure would allow elected officials in Baltimore to receive a pension after 8 years of service. The current requirement is 12 years. It will only take effect if Question K is approved by voters. Fox 45's Taylor Stewart explains why some are calling the move rushed.
This measure comes just days before Question K is on the ballot. Critics question not only the timing of it, but the cost for taxpayers.
The measure that would introduce term limits for the first time among city council members, the mayor, and city comptroller prompting preemptive action by the very people the law would impact. David Williams with the Taxpayer Protection Alliance sees this as a knee-jerk response to a referendum on Tuesday's ballot. Term limits for Baltimore's elected leaders.
If this thing passes on Tuesday, the term limits, that goes into effect 2024. So why have this new pension system in effect immediately when you don't have to? Right now, with the 12-year pension, it's about $1.5 million a year, right? So we know that. And boy, you talk about the finance department and they say, slow things down.
And where the additional cost falls on taxpayers.
Now, how much cost will there be to the Baltimore City taxpayer? Well, we don't know, and neither does the Baltimore City retirement system.
The city's retirement system, or ERS, manages the city pension fund. The head of that office laying this out to Baltimore attorney Carval Collins.
The bill and market conditions have the potential to reduce the funding status to below 100%. At which time there will be a cost to the city. Going forward, the actuarial liability will continue to increase due to an earlier 8-year vesting period.
Leaders from the Fraternal Order of Police say financial reasons are exactly why 12 years ago, the council voted to scale back pension for firefighters and police, then moving the needle of required service years from 20 to 25. In a statement shared on Twitter Saturday, the FOP calling it one of the most egregious privileged class moves against labor in recent history, asking council members to reverse course or reinstate the 20-year pension plan for the city's first responders. In Baltimore, I'm Taylor Stewart, Fox 45.
Those in favor of the bill say city council members deserve a pension even if they only serve 2 terms.
It is only fair that, elected officials have a pension also. It was already set up for 3. It was set up for 3 terms, you get a pension. If they change it and community says 2, then it should be 2 terms then.
Question K does not stop city leaders from running for other offices. That means someone can serve as city council member for 8 years and seek other elected offices to continue serving the city. So it is possible for city leaders to serve 12 years in office earning their pension. That brings us to our question of the day. Should Baltimore City Council members get a full pension after 2 terms instead of 3? Right now, 98% of voters say it should be 3 terms. Head to foxbaltimore.com/vote to weigh in. Polls project Tuesday's election will shake things up in Washington, what Capitol Hill might look like come January.
I'm Christine Frizan with a look at the Democratic blame game already underway before the polls have even opened on Election Day.
And as we head toward Election Day, a big chill down is moving in, but tomorrow could be some record highs, 78 degrees and some partial sun. I'm going to let you know how much colder things get and when it's going to be real smack of reality around here. It's up in my Weather Authority forecast.
Republicans are positioned to gain control of the House after Tuesday's midterm elections. That's according to a new Washington Post ABC News poll. It finds likely voters are split almost evenly, with 49% saying they plan to vote Republican compared to 48% saying they'll vote Democratic. Based on past midterms, Democrats would need a much larger lead to block Republican wins. Republicans will have to win a net 5 seats to take control of the House. According to the poll, Democrats face overwhelming odds of preventing that from happening. And some Democrats are now placing the blame for the slowing momentum on members of their own party. Sinclair National Correspondent Christine Frizzau explains.
With early voting now wrapped up in many parts of the country, a quiet calm before what many Democrats predict will be a savage storm.
I am not happy. I just think that we did not listen to voters in this election, and I think we're going to have a bad night.
While polls show tight races for several swing state Senate seats, they were races dominated by Democrats until a few months ago. A new ABC News Washington Post poll revealing top issues for likely voters could help Republicans, trusted to handle the economy, inflation, and crime by double-digit margins.
We're getting crushed on narrative. We're going to have to do better.
Democrats time and time again blaming not what has been done, but what's been said and not said by fellow Democrats.
They became inflation deniers. And that really, I think, is a stupid strategy.
Even President Biden, a target of blame for these comments he made on coal.
We're going to be shutting these plants down all across America and having wind and solar.
West Virginia Democrat Joe Manchin responding in a press release that President Biden's comments ignore the severe economic pain the American people are feeling because of rising energy costs.
But some Democrats are expressing optimism, not only about their party's accomplishments, but also its messaging on issues they say matter most.
I know what their closing argument is that when this country is going through tough times, whether it's a pandemic or inflation rising, who is really going to have your families back?
Others hoping the issues they have campaigned on, like abortion rights and defending America's democracy, will resonate.
We're not perfect, but we are responsible adults who didn't attack the Capitol on January 6th, didn't try to whitewash it. Don't pretend we're for law enforcement and then ignore 140 cops getting beat up on that horrible day.
The focus now on Election Day. Many Democrats already rethinking their political strategy for the future. I'm Christine Frizzau reporting.
Well, Russia is targeting conservative voters with disinformation campaigns ahead of the midterms. According to the New York Times, the aim is to undermine the Biden administration's military assistance to Ukraine. Researchers say Russia is specifically targeting some of the country's closest races. They say they have turned to newer platforms like Gab, Parler, and Getter that pride themselves on having unmoderated spaces. The FBI warned last month disinformation has also spread to dark web media channels, online journals, texts, and emails. Well, be sure to check out the Fox 45 voter guide for all of our reporting on the upcoming general election. Point your phone's camera to the QR code or head to foxbaltimore.com/vote2022. A cloudy day today, but the rain held off for the most part for the Fells Point Fun Fest this weekend. The festival is normally held in October, but you'll remember it was postponed because of the aftermath of Hurricane Ian last month. The 3-day festival featured live music, drinks, food, vendors, and so much more. It wrapped up this evening. Now, it was unseasonably warm this weekend, and we have one more warm day ahead.
Yep.
Chief Meteorologist Jonathan Myers tracking these interesting temperatures.
Yeah, Mary, you saw those short sleeves over the Fells Point Fest today. It felt like October, felt like September, felt like late summer around here. 80 degrees yesterday, 78 today. We're now at 69, could threaten records tomorrow. And then, yes, it's back to reality. Winds are calm. Toyota Ishida Harbor Skycam shows a little bit of haze. That's 69, by the way. That's about 10 degrees above where our average high temperature should be for this time of year. And another night where we probably won't achieve where our average high is supposed to be with our low temperature. As last night we were in the upper 60s, tonight probably low to mid 60s. Right now 69 here in Baltimore, 65 at Cockeysville, 70 at Westminster, and 70 at Frederick, 78 this afternoon for our high temperatures. 73 up at Westminster. Taking a look here at our radar, well, looks like that's shut down. But nonetheless, we could take a look at the weather map, and you do see on the radar screen here some showers that are all the way from New York State up to New England. Some warm temperatures today, again, making it up into the mid to upper 70s. Our record for the day was right at about 80 degrees, so we were just shy by a couple of degrees. Tomorrow, the record's in the upper 70s. So ahead of this next weather maker, a cold front that's giving us, again, a sprinkle or a light shower chance overnight. That's when we could hit some records. And then it turns colder, and significantly so by Tuesday as we head toward Election Day and beyond. Right now, temperatures near 70 here in Baltimore, in the mid-60s out Cumberland Way. There's the cooler numbers. Columbus up to Cleveland, mid to upper 50s to near 60, and some serious chill behind this next system as we go to 41 at Minneapolis, 26 in Bismarck in the Dakotas. Now, just because we're talking about some warm temperatures and eventually some more autumnal temperatures middle of this week, all of that running, doesn't mean that we're done with tropical season. A high chance of development now over the southwestern portion of the Atlantic Ocean. This could impact portions of Florida this week, but take a look at the spaghetti computer models, or the computer plots, kind of loop-de-loops near the Florida coast, and then eventually shoots out away now, it looks like, from the mid-Atlantic coastline and from the Carolinas. So shouldn't have direct impacts here, but it's something that we'll watch. And then there's a high chance of development in the middle portion of the Atlantic Ocean. That's not going to be any impact to land. Now, overnight tonight, there could be that sprinkler or light shower chance all the way through about sunrise. Only a 20% chance of rain. And then tomorrow, there are your warm temperatures. Now, as we head into the afternoon, eventually temperatures may begin to drop off as the cooler breezes do begin to pick up. So mostly cloudy, stray shower or sprinkle tonight, 63, 78, becoming sunny, breezy tomorrow. The record, I'm forecasting one here, the record standing at 77, 2020. And then much cooler for Tuesday, Wednesday. Next weather makers, a cold front Friday into Saturday, and much colder by the end of next weekend.
Jonathan, thank you. A warning from Harford County Police about people trying to steal your bank information, how to protect yourself from card skimmers. And the search for suspects underway in Philadelphia tonight after 9 people were hurt in a shooting at a bar. What we know about the incident. Harford County Police warning residents to be on the lookout for card skimming devices after they were found in 3 different credit card readers throughout the county. Skimmers are those small devices placed in the readers. They take information from a card's magnetic strip. Police put out tips to spot fake card readers and skimmers. They say skimmers usually include wider borders with wider spaces between keys. The backlight for the keys will be either very faint or not visible at all. The keys will usually feel unusually thick and sticky or spongy when they are pressed. Well, in Philadelphia, 9 people are hurt, 2 in critical condition after a shooting at a bar last night.
Everybody's an adult. At this point in time, we're still trying to verify everyone's age, but we do know that everyone is an adult. As I said, 2 are in critical condition. The remaining 7 are in stable condition at this point in time.
Police say the gunman came out of a parked vehicle and fired 40 shots into the crowd. They say the gunman may have been looking for somebody in particular, but the motive is still unknown. Police were patrolling the area at the time. They heard the gunshots right away. They are now reviewing security footage. So far, no arrests have been made. Well, mail with suspicious white powder was delivered to the campaign headquarters of Arizona's Republican gubernatorial candidate Kari Lake. Phoenix police say they have collected the suspicious mail and no one was hurt. Authorities are now testing the substance to figure out what it is. Lake responded saying political violence, threats, or intimidation have no place in our democracy. Well, questions about how public health officials handled the COVID-19 pandemic, the reforms some are looking to bring to Washington, D.C., and tonight's Full Measure report. As many of us try to put the pandemic in the rearview mirror, officials are looking to bring real reform to the CDC. Full Measure Cheryl Atkinson looks at some of its biggest stumbles over the past few years.
Thank you very much, Mr. Vice President.
In the beginning, Americans put their full faith in public health officials. But 15 days to slow the spread turned into an ordeal with unthinkable costs still being paid, economic fallout, destroyed education, and COVID ravaged the country all the same. Multiple cringe-worthy moments and false claims were provided by Dr. Rochelle Walensky, head of the Centers for Disease Control.
Our data from the CDC today suggests, that vaccinated people do not carry the virus, don't get sick.
In one of public health's most urgent moments, after trillions of tax dollars and decades spent preparing, CDC became a punchline. Dr. Jay Bhattacharya is a professor at the Stanford School of Medicine.
It just reeks of scientific incompetence. Probably the most egregious is this denial of natural immunity. Places like the CDC have argued that there is no proof or evidence of essentially protection against future COVID exposure after you COVID recovered. No natural immunity. And so by denying this fact about the immunity, people in the real world are not dumb. And they say, well, why are they saying this false thing to me? What else are they saying to me that's false?
Over the summer, Walensky conducted her own review of CDC's COVID response. She concluded her agency had failed miserably in its biggest moment. Walensky found that to move forward, CDC must align incentives with public health action and impact, improve internal coordination, implement new governance with an emphasis on the core capabilities and accountability at all levels, and upskill and train toward a response-capable agency. Still, the inside review fell far short of the top-to-bottom makeover envisioned by critics and even by one of CDC's longtime supporters. Lawrence Gostin heads up the World Health Organization's Center on Global Health Law.
It's always better to have suggestions for reform from a close and dear friend. And I am as close and as dear a friend to CDC as anybody could be. Everybody knows things have to change, and they do.
CDC declined our interview request. The agency's record budget request for next year includes $25 billion for a new adult vaccination program, $28 billion more for pandemic preparedness, which had already been funded by the trillions prior to COVID. For Full Measure, I'm Cheryl Atkinson.
And you can watch Full Measure Sundays on Fox 45 at 10 a.m. Well, for the second straight week, Ravens fans enjoyed a stress-free Sunday. We preview their matchup on Monday Night Football ahead on Sports Unlimited.
2nd and 7.
The Powerball jackpot has hit a new record, $1.9 billion. There was no winner last night's drawing. The next drawing is tomorrow night. The new prize can be taken as an annuity over 29 years or as a one-time payment of $929 million. The last prize was drawn in early August. There's now been 40 draws without a winner. So get your tickets. That's all for the news at 10. I'm Mary Bubala. Thank you so much for watching. Rocco DeSangro joins us now with Sports Unlimited. Rocco?
Yeah, thank you, Mary. From Thursday Night Football to Monday Night Football, the Ravens are back in primetime for the second straight week. Things are looking up for the defense, not so much the case for the offense, and that's not a knock at their talent by any means. Mark Andrews left the Thursday night game against the Bucs with a shoulder injury. His status for Monday night showdown in the Big Easy. Roquan Smith, he's a Baltimore Raven. Baltimore went on and traded for one of the best young linebackers in the game. What he can bring to a defense already loaded with talent. And it's college basketball season eve. The Towson Tigers projected to finish first in the CAA. We catch up with head coach Pat Skerry ahead of Monday's season opener, ahead on Sports Unlimited. The big news on the eve of Ravens-Saints Monday Night Football. Baltimore will be without its top pass catcher tomorrow in New Orleans. Tight end Mark Andrews has been downgraded to out as he recovers from knee and shoulder injuries. Andrews is far and away Lamar Jackson's favorite target and leads the Ravens in catches, receiving yards, and touchdowns this season. Big shoes to fill. Hello and welcome into a brand new edition of Sports Unlimited. I'm Rocco DeSangro. No Andrews or Rashad Bateman, and that means the other guys will have to step up. At the tight end position, look no further than Isaiah Likely, who is coming off his best game of his young career, much to the liking of his coaches and teammates.
It was great to see, great to see him, finally get his chance, opportunity to do what he do. We're going to need a lot more out of him, though, so just got to keep going.
I think Isaiah is coming along nicely. He's still learning this game. He's got a high ceiling. I think you're going to see him develop pretty much every week over the course of time. There's a lot about this NFL game that rookies have to learn on the fly.
The Ravens announced Thursday that top wide receiver Rashad Bateman will undergo foot surgery and miss the remainder of the season. Bateman has been the team's most potent receiver and big play threat. John Harbaugh and Lamar Jackson both talked about losing Bateman and moving forward without him.
I think Rashad is a great guy. He really wants to be out there, wants to play, wants to have a career, wants to do well, and that's not going to change. There's different things happening in life. There's roadblocks sometimes, and sometimes the best way is just to go through it, and that's what he's doing right now.
That's my guy. We was looking forward to having a great long season, but, guy had other plans, but I wish him a speedy recovery, and, you know, we got a lot of great guys, you know, in our receiving group, and I got full 100% confident those guys are going to make things happen for us this season. So just waiting on Bait to get back, but we good.
So our Twitter question of the night, are you confident the Ravens offense can get it done tomorrow night against the Saints without Mark Andrews and Rashad Bateman? I'm on Twitter at Rocco DeSangro. Let me know what you think, and I'll read some of your responses later on in Sports Unlimited. Given how the Ravens offense is with Andrews and Bateman out, there's a good chance Deshaun Jackson makes his debut Monday night. Jackson was signed a couple of weeks ago and has been on the practice squad ever since. While his all-pro days are presumably behind him, the 35-year-old vet could still prove valuable for this Ravens offense.
For me, I've been in this league a long time, had a lot of success, so you know, just knowing when my number's called, just being prepared, been in the playbook, been doing the things I need to do to stay ready. So, you know, if it's my time, I'll do what I need to do to help this team to win games. I think that's all that matters, and that's what I'm here to do. I'm here, and I'm all is into it, so I'm ready for sure.
So the Ravens went out and added a serious playmaker to their defense this week, acquiring linebacker Roquan Smith from the Bears just before the trade deadline. Smith was the 8th overall pick back in 2018. This season, he led the league in tackles at the time of the trade and has proven to be a player who could wreak havoc week in and week out on opposing offenses. Adding him to the Ravens' talented front seven should make Baltimore's defense that much better.
It's going to be exciting, man. You know, being in the Superdome, then being out here with my new teammates, it's going to be pretty sweet going to war with those guys, and I'm very excited. I think it's going to be a wild atmosphere, but I think we're going to be ready for it, and I think we're going to come out flying around. I know I'm going to control my part and fly around.
I would love to be Mike McDonald, you know, and with all these weapons, man. But, you know, just go out there and just, you know, draw up different ways to put us all on the field to make plays different ways and take turns, you know. But, you know, it's very exciting to get a player of Roquan's capabilities, you know, go out there and help us be able to, you know, win ball games.
Huge piece for us, you know. Obviously leading the league in tackles. He get the ball in his hands a lot. Just all around playmaker, physical cat. Just born to be a Raven, honestly. So I'm really excited to have him on our team.
We're already a defense that we predicate ourselves and just trying to be fast and going east to west. And we got a guy like Rowe who really covers sideline to sideline, so you know it should be fun.
Does what he does that make your job easier on the outside?
Oh yeah. Because, you know, the way we play the run, that's how it is. You know, we want to free it up for them and stuff like that. So we have a guy like that can make his own plays and stuff like that. It's only going to make it easy for us.
What was your first practice like with him today?
It's good, man. Just seeing him back there running fast and just knowing that you got a real beast behind you and everything. So it was good. He had a good practice.
You can tell Odafe and the rest of the guys are excited. On Tuesday, the Ravens activated Tyus Bowser and David Ajabo to the 53-man roster ahead of the Monday night game against the Saints. Both players coming off torn Achilles. Bowser led the Ravens with sacks in 2021. Ajabo finished with 11 in his final year in Michigan. While Bowser, he's expected to play Monday night, there's a chance Ajabo does as well.
Well, the expectation is for him to play. What does he bring? I mean, all the things that you've seen before. He's a very versatile linebacker. You know, he brings you linebacker skill set and the pass rush edge skill set. So all the things that entails, that's what he does.
We're getting there, man. I mean, it's my first full practice, and you know, I feel good. You know, I already know the playbook. You know, so it's just a matter of like getting my confidence back, getting my footing back, and you know, just pray for me, man. I'll be out there.
The Saints have two of the league's most versatile offensive players in Alvin Kamara and Taysom Hill. Kamara is coming off a 3-touchdown performance against the Raiders, and he's one of those guys the opposing defense absolutely has to account and game plan for. Hill, he's like a Swiss Army knife. He can do everything for the Saints. Pass, catch, run. Containing both players will be key for the Ravens tomorrow night against the Saints.
Alvin's a great player. I guess the best compliment I can show you is like it doesn't look like he's moving fast, but then he's running past people and then not getting tackled. So definitely an emphasis on angles to the ball, leverage, tackling at the point of attack. He has such great contact balance, and he's so powerful for a guy with his speed and agility. It's pretty rare to see.
I mean, if he gets going, I mean, you know, he's as good as anybody that's ever played this game. You know, I mean, he has all the juice, you know, to go out there and beat anybody, you know. And so, you know, we got to be locked in. We got to have, you know, all 11 of us. I don't think, you know, you can't expect one guy to tackle him by himself. You know, I don't care who it is. You know, we have to get all 11 of us to the ball.
Tomorrow night, Ravens in primetime yet again. The Saints, they're 3-5, but are coming off a 24-0 rout of the Raiders. The Ravens going for their third straight win. Kickoff, that's scheduled for 8:15 p.m. Elsewhere in the AFC North, Cincinnati hosted the Panthers this afternoon, trying to gain some ground on the Ravens. And this one was all Bengals. And when I say all Bengals, I mean all Joe Mixon. Mixon scored 5 touchdowns, 4 on the ground, adding a receiving touchdown as well. If Joe Mixon was on your fantasy team, man, you're living large tonight. The Bengals absolutely poured on against the Panthers. 42-21 the final. Here's Bengals head coach Zach Taylor about Mixon's unbelievable day.
He did a great job, you know, making people pay when they were tackling him and getting those extra yards. And again, I thought the whole unit did a great job supporting him and giving him some really good opportunities that he took full advantage of and then some.
A win tomorrow night at New Orleans, and the Ravens would have a chance. Well, they'd have a bit of a cushion. I mean, in the AFC North. A loss, the Bengals would close the gap a bit. The Browns and Steelers, they each had a bye this week. Kirk Cousins returned to FedEx Field as the Vikings visited the Commanders third quarter. Taylor Heineke with a prayer of a deep ball. This thing went into triple coverage, quadruple coverage if you count the official who helps the Commanders' cause. Take another look. That's a touchdown to Curtis Samuel. Minnesota rallied from down 10 late. Cousins here to Dalvin Cook. And he holds on for the touchdown. What a catch. Minnesota kicked a field goal late in the closing seconds to win it. The Vikings improved to 7-1. The Commanders fall to 4-5. They're at Philly next Monday night.
You know, we had some opportunities. We didn't take advantage of the opportunities. You know, there are enough mistakes to go around for everybody.
Coming up next, I'll go one-on-one with Towson head basketball coach Pat Skerry as the Tigers prepare to tip off the season. And how about them Tigers, the football team, what they did yesterday? We'll hear from an emotional Rob Ambrose. And Sports Unlimited rolls on. While Towson is coming off a CAA regular season crown, the Tigers fell short of their ultimate goal. Now picked to finish first in the conference, the Tigers could very well get back to where they feel like they belong. And that all begins Monday night. I caught up with head coach Pat Skerry one-on-one ahead of the season opener. He's pumped, but just how pumped?
More pumped than I've, ever been. But, always excited. It's like Christmas, right? Practice, start of the season. But also really appreciative because of the guys that decided to come back, Holden, Timberlake, Thompson, Gibson, really good players, but even better teammates and people and representatives at our university. So I know as a staff, I'm just excited to get going. We got a lot of work to do. It's a long year, but there are certainly a lot of pieces.
You talked about those 4 guys. What do they mean to this program? It seems like they're the heart and soul. And how have they helped this team kind of gradually build over the years?
Yeah, I mean, look, we came out of a tough pandemic year, and 21-win improvement. That's never been done. And it's a credit to those guys, what they do on a daily basis, their competitiveness, their unselfishness, and their talent. So, you know, to me, I don't want to get in the way of any of that stuff. And you know, it's those guys' program. We've got a lot of other players, and it's the healthiest I think our roster's been from top to bottom, but it certainly starts with our returning guys.
Do these guys have a chip on their shoulder how the way last season finished? You guys were so close. You win the conference regular season. I'm sure it left a bad taste in their mouth in talking to some of these guys. It definitely did. What has their message been? As a coach, you have your message. You're telling these guys one thing, but the leaders, what have you heard them say to this returning group, the incoming freshmen, and the rest of these guys about getting back to where you feel like you belong?
Well, you know, they're intense about it. You know, and you know, we all know what the goal is. What I've tried to harp on them is our responsibility is to be really good every day. That'll put us in a position to have the opportunities that they want. But I would say good, bad, or indifferently, they're a little less tolerant of certain type of errors from anyone, and then they've got to continue to be less tolerant of themselves on those type of things, and they're aware of that. It's a You know what's really unique about the group, when you have guys that had to share points, shots, a lot of statistical stuff, but they all come back, it means they understand the appreciation of playing with other good players and what winning means. That's what I really have just felt good about.
You guys were picked to finish first in the CAA preseason polls. Does that mean anything to you and these four guys sitting here as the leaders, or do you not really care about something like that?
I'm not going to tell you we don't, they see it. I know they see it. You know, we're worried about getting better every day. But, I always tell these guys, last year I told them we can prove them right or we can prove them wrong. We were picked 9th.
Yeah.
This year you can prove them right or you can prove them wrong. So, let's worry about executing. The league's going to be terrific. And what I like about our opportunities ahead of us, we have a really hard non-conference schedule. Yeah. That's going to create opportunities to maybe knock it out the park early, but if not, figure out what we better get ready for when the CAA comes around.
From the hardwood to the gridiron, another wild week of college football. It's in the books. Alabama, Clemson, Tennessee, they all went down. Wild stuff. Locally, Navy fell to Cincy, Morgan State lost to Stony Brook, and the Terps couldn't get anything going against Wisconsin. But how about those Towson Tigers? Smoking Villanova en route to their second straight CAA victory. After 5 straight L's, the Tigers have won 2 in a row. An emotional Rob Ambrose after the big dub over Nova Nation.
I could not be more proud of them. This is an insane week. The amount of adversity that this team faced in 1 week is impressive. And truth be told, about Thursday afternoon, I couldn't tell you who was going to be able to line up at start. And we've practiced our face-off with whoever was left, and we found a way to beat an incredibly good team that I believe was picked to finish first in this league or second.
Big-time win for Towson. Still ahead, Brent Urban was one of the few Ravens on the team the last time the Ravens played the Saints. We'll chat with him one-on-one when Sports Unlimited returns. Welcome back into Sports Unlimited. Our Twitter question of the night: are you confident the Ravens offense can get it done tomorrow night against the Saints without Mark Andrews and Rashad Bateman? Here's some of the responses. Blackhawk: if we can contain Taysom Hill and if Mr. Roman can send in plays that can put points on the board, yes, it can be done. Yes, Gus will get it done. Gus Edwards doubtful for this game, by the way. Other playmakers will have to step up. Greg Roman's play calling will also be tested. Run game will also have to be utilized and strong. Interested to see how Deshaun Jackson's used. Isaiah likely will have to be a factor. Defense will also have to hopefully create turnovers. And yes, we did it last week in the second half. Pound the ball, hit a few play action shots. Tweet me at Rocco DeSangro. Thank you so much for participating. We really appreciate all of your responses week in and week out. Monday night, the Ravens will go head-to-head with the Saints for the first time since 2018. Brent Urban, he was on the team that lost to New Orleans in heartbreaking fashion, a missed extra point, and one of the few on the current defense that actually faced Alvin Kamara. I caught up with him one-on-one to talk about that and reuniting with an old friend.
Great runner on contact. You know, he's a guy that can make you miss, but he's also has really good contact balance where he can run through you or run around you, honestly, man. Very impressive player. You know, they have Taysom Hill again, another great runner. So it's a good O-line as well. So it's a good team, good physical team. They can run the ball well. You know, it's going to be a challenge for us.
I know schemes change and teams change, but is it an advantage facing off against a team and a guy that these guys don't have, that these guys haven't seen in their careers yet?
I think so. I mean, you kind of know what to expect. But at the end of the day, you know, as players, we're always evolving and, you know, getting better, especially a guy like Kamara, man. He's a dynamic player who's honestly gotten better and better, and you see some of the things he does, man. It's not something you can necessarily take for granted, but, you know, as a guy who's played him before, you know what to expect.
You were teammates with Roquan Smith in Chicago. What does adding a guy like this bring to that defense? And Calais said yesterday, he's like, I'd love to be Mike McDonald with all the weapons we have.
100%. Yeah, this guy's a beast, man. I just remember, you know, anytime I was in the backfield, this guy would be one step ahead of me making the play. You know, he's one of those guys that's always at the ball. Like I said before, he's one of the best run and hit linebackers in the league, man. I'm impressed with the player, and, you know, as soon as I heard the news, I was ecstatic, man, to be reunited with him.
As far as your season goes, how would you evaluate your performance through 7-8 games?
It's been good, man. It's been good. I think I've been getting stronger as the season has gone on, feeling comfortable within the defense and kind of my role for the team. So it's been good, man. Just continue to improve, continue to help the young guys improve, and kind of just get better collectively.
Brett, the last question I got for you. You guys played Thursday night primetime, only game of the night. You guys are going to play Monday night primetime, only game of the night. Does it get the juices flowing a little more? Playing in front of that packed house, just a hostile environment, and you're the only game going on?
Oh, it's no question, man. I love the night games. You know, you're kind of waiting around all day. You have all this excitement building. You know, everyone's watching, man. There's no better stage, honestly, than a night game. So, you know, we'll all be ready and good to go.
Monday night primetime football. The 5-3 Ravens go head-to-head with the New Orleans Saints. We'll see you next Sunday, same time, same place, to recap the game as the Ravens enjoy that bye week. That's it for this edition of Sports Unlimited. Have a great rest of your night.